everyone, today for math we're going to do an activity, but before we get started we need to go through our vocabulary. This week we'll be reviewing everything we've talked about in the past 4 weeks, so our vocabulary is going to be a little different each day to match the activity we're doing. Alright, so for Monday these are our vocabulary words. The first one is tally. So remember, tally is a way to show numbers. When we get to 5, we cut across. So every group of 5, we karate chop across, okay? The next word is data. So data is information collected by a survey. So when people vote in a survey, the answers you get back, that's your data. Skip counting is counting by 2s, 5s, 10s, or any number, really. So over here I have a hundreds chart. So when you skip count, it might help to look at the hundreds chart, okay? So when we skip count by 2s, we go 2, we jump to 4, 6, 8, 10. If you're counting by 2s, when we count by 5, we go 5, 10, 15, 20, so on and so on. Then 10s is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, then you keep going. Okay, so remember, when you skip count, you just count by a different number. Most is the biggest number. So here I put our tally chart that we've been looking at, and the pet that got the most amount of votes is cat, because 10 is the biggest number. Least is the smallest number. So the pet with the least amount of votes was the dog, because he only got 4, and that's the smallest number. Alright, let's get started with today's activity. You're going to need to find these pages in your packet, and I've got mine out and ready to show you. They look like this, okay? So find these in your packet. Alright, let me move myself so you can see. Okay, so today we're going to be answering this question. So, how many buttons would Mrs. Fletcher need to buy to replace all the buttons in her class? So this is her class, and they all have different amounts of buttons on. We need to figure out how many buttons she would need to replace all the buttons. We need to see how many buttons they have in all. So that's how many buttons she'll need to replace. Okay? There are a couple different ways you could do this. And you get to pick which way makes the most sense for you, okay? You might choose to add up all the numbers. That's a lot of adding, okay? Maybe you want to just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to count all the buttons. I am going to make tallies, okay? And I'm going to do that with you now. So I'm going to tally up all the buttons she needs so I can count it easier. So I'm going to start here. I see that kid had 3 buttons. So I did 3 tally marks. I'm going to cross him off so I know I counted his buttons. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons I'm going to need to add. I'm going to do 1. I need to cut across because I have a group of 5, so that's 2, 3, 4. So I added 4 more tally marks. Okay? Now I'm going to do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross them off and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how I'm just adding tally marks to my overall amount? Okay, so now I'm going to add 2 more. Now I'm going to add 3 more. 3. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going. 2, 3. That kid has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This kid just has 1, so I'm going to cross that one. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another group of 4. 4. See here, 1, 2, 3. Let me add his buttons. I'm gonna add his buttons. 3, had his 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That kid has 5, so let's add 5 tally marks. 3, 4, cut across for 5. Another group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 1, 2, so just 2. Then I have 1, 2, 3 I need to add. Then I have 1, 2, 3 more. Wait, I already added those. I forgot to cross them off. Then I just have 1. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure I'm crossing them off as I go. 1, 2. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So I counted these two. Remember to cross them off as you go or you might get confused. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 left. Perfect. So I've counted all of my buttons and I've made them into tally marks that show me the total. Okay? This shows me the total. Now I'm going to count. When I'm counting these tally marks, I know that each group of tallies is a group of 5. So I can skip count by 5s to count these easier. Okay, so this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. So how many buttons would Mrs. Fletcher need to buy to replace all of these buttons? How many? 80, right? Because I have 80 tally marks, which means I have 80 buttons. So she'll need 80 buttons. There's my answer. Okay, so I chose to do tally marks. If you want to do it in a different way, that's okay, but you need to show me what you did on this piece of paper. So if you added them all together, you need to show me that. If you just counted them, I need to see some work for that, okay? Alright, now we have a few questions we're going to answer about this information. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint to see what you guys need to be answering. Alright, I'm going to read these questions out for you, and I am going to talk you through some of the answers, but I want you to really think and work on these on your own, okay? After I read out each question, you can press pause so you can write down an answer to each one. You can write these down on a separate sheet of paper if you want, okay? So the first question is, what strategy did you use to count the missing buttons? Well, I used tally marks and then I skip counted by 5s. Okay, so the strategy I used was skip counting by 5s and making tally marks. Okay, so pause it and tell me what you did. Alright, this one says, what makes counting the objects easier? Well, I think it made it easier to skip count by 5s. It made it easier than counting each one by one when I could see it in groups. Now you tell me what you think. Pause the video and let me know, okay? Alright, we have a couple more questions. Who had the most buttons and how many did they have? You need to look at your piece of paper with all the little class's buttons and see who had the most and how many did they have. And then the next question is, who had the least amount of buttons and how many did they have? Okay? When you're done with all these questions, you're done with your math for the day. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.